Hey there, welcome. So we're going to go over the global scenario of War Room here. It's going to look like the first time to a lot of you, but this is actually our third time of doing this scenario, Jason and I. We never finished either of the two times prior, but we actually got some rules wrong and made some mistakes, and so we have those corrected, and we feel like we have a really solid handle on how this game plays. Sometimes we forget to do things, but at least from a rules perspective, we've got a solid handle. So I will be playing the Axis, and Jason will be playing the Allies. We have flip-flopped several times now, but that is how we're going to do this particular game. And I'm going to take you through the phases of the game. We'll explain the rules as we go. I've done this several times now, and so it's funny because now I'm trying to do it a third time, and I don't remember what rules I did or did not explain in previous playthroughs, so I'll try to cover everything as quickly as I can. So without further ado, we're going to just dive right in. Jason, can you hand me the little player aid there? So we have, with the game, is a player aid, and it has the different phases of the game. So what Jason and I do is this movement operations phase requires hidden, like secret, where we write down our moves. So I don't know what moves he's going to do. He doesn't know what moves I'm going to do. We have to write everything down in secret, and then we reveal. So what we do is we try to do this off camera. So Jason and I have already done these steps, but we're going to step you through the previous phases just so you... Well, actually, right here is where the secret... I'm sorry, I was pointing in the wrong spot. So first thing that you're supposed to do in the game is check your territory card facing. So see how it has this little red line? Your cards are going to be listed like this when you set up the game, and if there's a contested territory, which actually there is, can you tell me what the name of that territory is? It's the Solomon Islands, yeah. I think. Yeah. So the Solomon Islands is here somewhere. So Solomon Islands actually has a battle. Can you point the battle out? So at the start of the setup of the global campaign, that's the only active battle on the board. There will be plenty more before we get to the actual battle stage, but right now there is a battle going on there, and the Solomon Islands are what we would call embattled. And when they're embattled, they're going to have these red striped lines like you see here. And so you just flip it over and put it back into your card sheet. I have to use both hands for this, so what's the point? Why do you have to do this? Well, some territories produce resources, and if it's embattled, they will produce less resources for you. This particular one, it doesn't matter, but it's still the correct practice to do. So anyways, that's all it's trying to say with step one, is just make sure you got all of your embattled territories lined up properly. Next, you gather your resource income. And the way you do that is you can add up everything that's on your cards. So add up all these yellows, and those become OSR. Add up all your blues for iron, all your red for oil. And here you can see the blue and the red. So every territory is going to, some produce nothing, like New Britain, and then some produce a whole bunch of stuff. And I think Japan itself produces 2 of them as well, as you can see. All right, now the game gives you a very easy reference, so you don't have to count in the beginning. If you look on your board, you'll see these solid triangles, and those solid triangles are your starting values. So as long as you know you haven't gained or lost any territories, you can just use those as your reference point, and then you can just go up or down from there. So Jason has the same thing. You'll notice that there's some triangles that aren't solid. Those are because of other scenarios. So those are starting points for other scenarios, but don't worry about that for this one. All right, so then it says write orders and turn order bids. So the way this works is you're going to have this sheet, and ignore this corner. We're starting here. We're starting on round 1. We have to do a bid for oil. That's for turn order. And then we put in our command. So for example, if I want to move 13 here, I would write the number 13, And then I would say I'm going to go to A15 because I want to fly this over that C zone. So that's how I would put my command. I would say 13 A15, and then off you go. So you're limited. Your number of commands are limited by your sheet. Italy, as you may notice, only has 6, whereas Germany has 9. And you're going to find often in this game that you don't have enough commands. So Germany has way more than 9 units to move. So you have to be really selective about where you're going to move. So once we figure out turn order, in that turn order, every country is going to do these movements. So when they do the movements, it is possible to pin other people. So I know there's a bad glare here, but for example, I may want to move this submarine to A14, for example. If Jason goes first with the United Kingdom, he could move this set of naval units to A15, and in turn, so he goes first, he gets to do his move, and then it's time for me to move my units, and I can't.